This is a 2003 WK Statesman, and it is everything that you would want from luxury from the early 2000s. This particular one is in fantastic condition, although it does have a few kilometres, around 220,000. There is not a mark, there is not a scratch, there is not a dent, there is nothing wrong with this car. And wait till you see the interior. If you're unfamiliar, the Statesman is built on the Commodore platform, but it is the longer version. It is mainly made for the backseat passengers, which is something that we will explore in a few minutes. This particular one, the WK, is from the VYVZ series. Now, these alone are not a rare car. However, through time, good examples like this have become rare, and that's because they were the choice for many, many years to be used as donor cars. This particular one is an LS1. This model, and particularly the model before it, the WH, are always pillaged of their parts. But not this one. This particular one does not have one modification, not one. Standard height, as you can see here, standard exhaust, standard everything. Now, these cars having a huge boot is no surprise to anybody, but they are enormous. And just for reference, as it's the only thing I've got, here is a coffee mug in the center of it, and that really puts into perspective how large this area is. And I can just reach the end just down there. But apart from the running gear, this interior is where they really shine, particularly for the rear passengers. And while there is lots of GM hard plastic, it is much nicer than the Commodore equivalent. There is leather and suede everything. These very fancy cup holders, which were borrowed from Saab. I didn't actually know that until I started posting TikToks. The very good stereo with its even better subs. Dual zone climate control, air conditioning, obviously, heater, all the fruit that you would honestly need. Sure, I'm going to mention it 1,000 times, but this interior in this car is absolutely fantastic. It is so nice in here. The real star of the show, though, is this back seat. Now, on a good day, I'm 5'9", but even if you are 6 foot something, I mean, look at the amount of space back here. It's absolutely crazy. Even if I sit back with my back against the headrests, I can't even touch the seat in front, and that is wild. I also have my own cup holders, which is a really nice touch. But my favorite little touch is this little armrest, and you can end up resting your entire arm back here. This entire back space is just a really, really pleasant place to be. And because of the owner of this car has taken such meticulous care of it, it really doesn't feel aged at all back here, which is insane because this car is 21 years old, so pretty cool. So here's another little tidbit. These cars have been parted out by their thousands, mostly for the running gear and the interior, but here's another little one that everybody always wants, especially P-platers like me back in the day, is these handles. These are not the chrome plated ones. They are real, they are cold to the touch, and as far as I'm aware, they're only available on Statesman and Caprice. And this is a Statesman. You could get this in a Caprice, the step higher, and I believe the main difference is the Caprice had the screens in the back of the headrests. And remember, this is in 2003. That's pretty advanced stuff. So let's move on to its most exciting part. It's this, the LS1. Now, this is what most of these cars have been purged for, and it is undeniable whether you are Ford, Holden, Toyota, whatever. This is a fantastic engine, the LS1. This particular car has 220,000 Ks, and this thing runs like an absolute dream. This car has been pulled out of storage for more than 4 years just for this video. I mean, how exclusive is that? And this thing is running fantastic. It's been driven a few hundred kilometers in the last few days, and it has not skipped a beat. There's no misfiring, there's no lights on the dash, nothing. It is driving absolutely perfect. One of the criticisms of the running gear of this car, the LS1 and the 4L60E, is that it's a bit of a slush box and it's a little bit unreliable and it's a little bit slow. There's a lot of those comments in the TikToks that I've made about this car. And if you've got an SS, maybe I can understand it. But in the Statesman, it's nothing to worry about. You're not pushing this car to its limit. It's not about that. This car is about being comfortable, driving long journeys, and it is just such a good cruiser. It is so relaxing to drive this thing. So what do I, the Commodore man, think of the Statesman? If I'm honest, I haven't fallen in love with this car like I have some of the other ones on the channel. And if I was wanting an LS1 from this era, I would much prefer a VY SS. It's nothing to do with this car really, it's just my personal taste. However, this is a fantastic cruiser, and I have been trying to find every excuse to drive. This particular one is getting 12 to 13 litres per 100k, which is fantastic for an LS1 that's been sitting for so long in a Statesman. At the time of recording this car is really not that long away from club plates, a few years. And I think you'll start to see more and more of these on club plate. This era of cars has the perfect mix of computers and reliability. Not too much computers, no Apple CarPlay, none of that stuff. Every mechanic in Australia will be able to fix this car, but there's enough computers that you feel like you're driving in luxury, especially if you're sitting in the back seat. Enough talking though, let's take it for a drive. Now, as you can see, this interior is a very, very nice place to be. And not only that, but it's in ripper condition, as I've said earlier in the video. And let's take it for a drive. This is the best part about these cars. As we go down the highway, you guys will notice that this thing is dead smooth. It is very, very quiet. It's very comfortable. It's wild to believe that this has as many kilometers as it does, and that it's this big, dirty LS1. I might have said earlier, but I have said in my other videos that while this is a fantastic example and it's a very good car, not particularly my flavour of the LS1 Commodore. But that doesn't take away that this is a fantastic car, and like I don't even have to raise my voice. Admittedly we're only going 40 k's an hour, but soon we will be going 100, and you'll see that. Yeah, it's a very healthy car. One thing I will admit is, as I've been parking it in the car parks and stuff, is it's quite long. And I know that might seem obvious, but I haven't really driven a Statesman really that much before. I'm just used to normal Commodores. And I don't think I realised that when I was parking it. I keep parking it with the bum sticking out, which is a bit of a bugger, something that I've got to get used to. Another thing that's cool in the interior is everything works in here. All of the radio works, which obviously I can't show you because of YouTube, but the radio works, the cup holders work. This car really makes me want to have an LS1. It just feels so solid on the road. It's crazy that this is only a few years older than some of the other cars in the shed, especially the VS. I mean, this is wildly more refined than my VS wagon. Sorry, you've missed out. There was a nice HD Monaro there. I do drive a Toyota every day, so it's a little bit nice to drive a car that's relatively new and has a bit more balls than the old Toyota. So we're in 100 zone, we're at 60, we're at 80, and we're at 100. So it's not slow. It is really not slow at all. Now, I have talked a lot about having stock exhausts on cars. Not on this one. If this was my car, that would be one of the very first things to know. Sometimes when you're accelerating, you just get that little note of the LS1. Just a real shame that these sort of disappeared. And I get it, you know, people are more conscious of the fuel or conscious of the economy and their carbon footprint, but at the same time, hard to argue with that, really, isn't it? Quite a bit. I really hope that you guys enjoy these kind of videos. It will become a series. I've got plenty more cars to come, especially from Team Blue, and stuff that is newer than this and stuff older than this. So if these are your kind of videos, please subscribe and follow along with what I do here. If you have any cars in particular that you'd like to see on the channel, please let me know. However, I think that we're probably thinking of all the same cars. Thanks for watching. The LS1. Oh, shit. There's... Alright, maybe we need some new bonnet struts.